It's over, saying goodbye.
Hi, my name is Michael Odell. I'm the composer, lyricist, and book writer of the musical The Velocity of Arrows, a musical that takes place in Los Angeles. And we're going to be at the New York Theater Festival this February. What we're looking right now for is donors that will help us make this journey. The Velocity of Arrows is a 90-minute musical with 5 characters. Gigi is the main character, a 19-year-old Latino who is dabbling in graffiti. I've played rehearsals for tons of musicals. There's always been this part of me that wanted to write a musical. And in 2013, I wrote The Velocity of Arrows. It was then titled Waiting. We want to give this show a chance. Your support is very needed and welcomed. I have written other musicals, one being Weird, which was at the Boulder Fringe Festival in 2021. It's a pandemic musical that takes place on Zoom. Also, when I was at Berkeley, NYC, I wrote The Intersection of Transient Souls. We went to Drama Camp Productions Writers Retreat. I would say my style is very pop-oriented, but it has a tinge of old school musical theater, golden age, but also I am a big jazz person, so I like chords that are a little different and a little spicy. I am an uncle, son, brother, nephew, cousin, but also I love music. I love being creative. I love pushing myself and pushing boundaries for myself. I'm a big jazz influenced person, not only in my playing, but my listening and composing. And I feel like I'm an artist and I have things to say and share with the world. Joining me will be our director, Darren A.C. Carollo. Dan Pardo will be co-music director, and assistant director, Sydney Roslin. I think this is going to appeal to an audience. They're going to see bits of themselves in each character. I know that writing the show, I put a bit of myself in each character. And they say, write what you know. That's what I knew at the time. And I'm very excited that I can take this version that I wrote in 2013 and use everything I've learned since then to really help these characters and the show bloom even more. So Sydney, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts about the show that you know the 2013 version and where we are going with revisions? I mean, what's your feelings about that?
Well, I think it's been really exciting to be a part of your working process and see how these characters can develop in terms of this journey of Gigi especially to find his identity and his place in the world, which I think is a really relatable journey that a lot of us go through, but with this added layer of being an adoptee of white parents when Gigi is not white himself. Like, I think that's a really interesting journey to kind of delve deeper into with this revision and the work that you've been doing to explore where that journey of identity takes us has been really cool to see develop.
Yeah, and I know I'm full of questions because every time I see you, I'm like, what if this happened? What if we did this? And I appreciate that. I'm curious, are there any changes that we're doing or embellishments or even more development that we're doing with the show that kind of excite you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the deepening of the relationships between like Gigi and Izzy, for example, like that friendship that's so core, I think, to both of those characters, really exploring what the connection that Gigi and Marcus have, and also, you know, how does Gigi feel about Grace and Prof as his parents, because I think there's a lot of love there, but it's complicated love. And I think, I mean, seeing the actors work with the material at the table read, I'm sure was really helpful for you to deepen all of those connections. Was that great?
It was great. It really opened up the blind spots that we have in the script, which is great because I wrote it in 2013, and we want the show to be representative of something people would see today in theater. So that was a great rough draft in 2013, but we feel like we're in a place where we can really offer a 5-character show, which is seldom on Broadway unless you go to Next to Normal, which is what, a 6-character show maybe? Yeah. But we like the intimacy of that. It's almost like a musical theater chamber piece.
Yeah.
And with the score, I'm able to do tinge of jazz, but make it more pop, which I'm excited about. And I'm taking some of the songs that were in the 2013 version, revising them, and also writing new songs, which I'm really excited about. And a new opening number.
And I think that, you know, we've been talking about your opening number a lot, and I think that one of the things that's really stuck out to me in talking to you about your revision process is we do only have a 5-character show, which means we really have the space to give each of those characters a fully developed arc. And I think it's been really rewarding to see you plot that out over this revision process, and especially where that takes place in the opening number as we get really introduced to all these people in their day-to-day lives. So I think that's something with this scale of a show, just because it's a small show doesn't mean it has to be a small story. Like, it really feels expansive because we have 5 people growing and changing based on each other.
Right. That's good to hear. Also, I wanted to bring up the fact that we are setting this in Los Angeles, and we want to make Los Angeles almost a 6th character.
Right.
Any thoughts on that you've come across?
Well, you lived in
script?
LA for
a
while, right?
Yeah, so West Hollywood area. Yeah.
So I think that I mean, there's so much, especially Gigi is a young person growing up in a city, and you know, there's always that stereotype of kids who grow up in cities are totally different than kids who grow up in other places of the world in terms of their independence, in terms of their growth, in terms of the way they are able to explore the world, just because there's so much right at their fingertips. So I think it makes sense to have LA be its own character, and especially a character that you, as a former Los Angelino?
Exactly. I had to Google that, but right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Is familiar with, because you're writing about a place that you know, and it's a place that does have its very own distinct flavor and character. Anyone you meet from LA, you know, has a little bit of LA kind of stuck to them.
Very much so. And it's so weird. I wrote the show in 2013 before I moved to LA.
Oh, so now you have so much more perspective on it.
I do. I also wanted to talk to you about your ideas and your opinion about Gigi being Latino. Of course, Izzy is Latina, and Gigi's adopted parents are white. What comes to mind when you see something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the start, that relationship between Izzy and Gigi, both being of Latinx heritage, but not both being raised in Latinx households, was a really interesting element to this story, because I think in that friendship, Gigi can't help but compare himself to his very good friend. But the other thing I think that's interesting about Gigi's cultural identity is that you have him be adopted not as a baby, but as a younger child who still has experiences and memories from, you know, before he was adopted by these white parents. And so I think that that conflict is that much more present since he hasn't always been in perhaps a more whitewashed world. But I also think that, you know, there are entire groups of transracial adoptees that have this conflict between where they are from and where they are now that I don't think is talked about enough, because there's a lot of, you know, other baggage that comes along with that discussion. Even things like, you know, white savior, like complexes, right? Like, and so I think that's a really prescient conversation to be having now, and to have both a character who is of a heritage, raised in that heritage, and of a heritage but feels out of place in that heritage, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. Okay, this is a tough question.
Okay.
Why are we're both not Hispanic? Why do we feel like we have a right to tell this story?
Yeah, well, I think that at its core, it's a question of Gigi's place in the world, right? And I, you know, my experience is nowhere near related to the Latinx experience, but I know that I walk through the world in my own identity bubbles. Oh, for sure, right?
Yes, yes.
Like, for example, as a, you know, Jewish American woman, right? Like, where am I Jewish American? Where am I American Jew? Where am I a female? Like, all these different intersectional identities. I think what's great is that we do have people from the Latinx heritage that are working on this project.
We do.
We do, yes.
Our friend Arturo de la Fuentes right there.
He's recording this right now.
Yes.
But I think...
And I think their voices are very important for us as writers to be informed.
Yeah.
And directors.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be, I think that the struggle of figuring out where your cultural identity matches with who you are just as an individual, regardless of that cultural identity, matches with the people you're raised by, matches with the people that you walk through daily life with. I think that struggle to figure out where you are and where you belong in this world is a universal one, especially for young people, and especially in today's world where there is so much pride given to all of these various intersectional identities that we carry around with us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel, not to downplay the ethnicities of this, but we have two characters, Grace and Prof, who are Caucasian, but they're maybe a little bit older. They're also trying to find their place in the world.
100%.
We have a character named Marcus, who is trying his best to put his best foot forward. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for him, but he's also trying to find his place. And Izzy, I think she pretends that she knows where she's going, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's a smoke and mirrors game with her almost, because she's trying not to let other people on that she doesn't know what she's doing yet.
And we do that.
We
all
do
do that.
We
you
do
know?
it. Yeah, it's kind of
no
universal.
matter who we are, we do that. Yeah.
Yeah. In close, oh yeah, you had a question?
No, just that we're
Okay.
yes.
In closing,
Yes.
Was there anything else that come to mind about the production team, or even like the process of doing this for the New York Theater Festival? Like, I see this as a next step for the next step. So anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, and the person not in the room right now is our amazing director, Darren, which, goes without saying. AC Carollo, he's incredible. And I think what's been the most exciting to me is, like what you said, it does feel like a step, to be a part of the development process from the ground up. That's not something you get to be a part of every day, and I think the New York Theater Festival does provide a lot of incredible groundwork in terms of technical and just administrative support, marketing support, to get these projects on their feet. So, I think that being a part of this production as you and I are, or as an audience member, or a cast member, or a donor, that's the unique experience to be able to track this story really from beginning to end, which you don't always get.
I totally agree. One other question.
Yeah.
In regards to fundraising, let's just be honest, new works take support.
They are not cheap. And I think what I admire about working with you is that there are so many new projects, especially in New York, where we have this huge influx, huge community of artists that are unfortunately underpaid because there just isn't the budget for it. And people want to create, but also, the years and years of training that have gotten you to this point where you can write this music and write these characters, the years and years of training and professional work that Darren has done to be able to bring this to life, that our actors have done to be able to portray these roles, that is a profession, and being able to raise money to put this up means that we can pay those artists for their work, which is their lifetime of work.
Right, and I say living wage, but I'm well
We're all
under.
putting things together.
I'm well under the living wage, but
Yeah.
we our goal for this production, and I think you're in agreement, we want to pay our participants, whether it be actors, a stage manager, assistant stage manager, our director, our assistant director, the writer, composer, something that will show them that we appreciate what they're doing.
And at least, you're right, it's not enough to pay the rent, but it's not nothing, and to pay people nothing or a very low amount really doesn't compensate the amount of time and energy and training and talent that goes into putting this show on the stage.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the rehearsal process and even for our next table read, because that's where happy accidents happen.
Yes, 100%.
And we get to get actors behind these characters who have an opinion, and they'll be able to help us figure out, should this character go right?
Yep.
Should they go left? I'm really excited, especially working with you, and all the stuff that we've done so far is just amazing. And I feel like, in a way, I really like asking you questions, because I know I'm going to get a great answer. And it may not be the one that I want, but it's going to make me a better artist.
Well, and that's the collaborative process, and that's why this project, I think, is so special, because it's not every day that you get to work with the writer, composer, librettist in the room. And one thing I really enjoy about working with you in particular is that you do make it a collaborative process. It's not your way or the highway. It's not, this is what I wrote in a vacuum and this is what's going on stage. You take in all of the things you're getting from your actors, from your production staff, from the trusted people, artists in your life, and you put it into something that really everyone in the room, I think, can feel proud of.
I love how you put that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course.
That was like a pre-Hanukkah or Christmas present.
There you go.
But hey, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for joining us here to talk about the Velocity of Arrows at the New York Theater Festival, coming in February 2025. Thanks, Sydney.
Hello everybody, my name is Roella Oloro. I'm originally from the UK, but I'm here because I studied at Berkeley in Boston, did my undergrad and my master's there. My main instrument is keyboard, but I play others too. Today I'm going to be performing an original composition of mine entitled Thank You. And if I had 3 wishes granted by this lovely genie lamp right here, I would ask for a purple Fazioli grand piano, an all-inclusive holiday with my closest family and friends, and also healing across the entire world. Definitely no war.
Sagitario. A veces no me sé controlar. De tu ventana te observo a diario. Déjame entrar. Ya estoy bastante cansado. Que en mis sueños nada sea real.
What I would like to do today is for us to have a very casual songwriting session to see what we can come up with, and hopefully it's going to be a song that we like, and then we might even record it together after, or like, who knows, because we really don't know what we're about to do.
Yes.
So
I love that.
Yeah. But before we go into the songwriting section, I have one more question, which is actually 3 questions, because it's, if you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
Oh, if I had 3 wishes, what would they be? Well, I think that, are we talking about crazy wishes, like, or realistic wishes?
Whatever, well, like, what's realistic, you know? Because like...
Right.
Like